I started finding families that had significant or tragic losses, and I would serve them two home cooked meals a week. Well, I then started like a little Facebook thing because I couldn't take it all on my own. It kind of spiraled. We jumped in. I incorporated January 4th of 2021, and we just kind of took off.
Welcome to the One Girl Revolution podcast. It's your girl, Kate, here. On this week's episode of the One Girl Revolution podcast, we welcome Jennifer Jackson, founder of the DRE Project. Jennifer has been involved with Hungry Howie's Pizza since the age of 10, helping her dad at stores and at the corporate office during summer vacations. Jennifer officially started as a Hungry Howie's employee, which was one of her dreams, in 1998 as the fundraising coordinator and was promoted in 2000 to director of marketing. In 2014, she was named vice president of development, and now she still works at Hungry Howie's Pizza in the PR and marketing department for the company. After losing her sister, Jennifer launched the nonprofit organization, the DRE Project, in 2020. Their mission is to stock the pantries of families and veterans in need. Jennifer and the DRE Project have partnered with our friends at Humble Design and other organizations to provide home-cooked meals and groceries for families and individuals in need. Jennifer and her story are examples that we can all do something to help people in need. Our neighbors, our friends, our family members, strangers, we can all do something. You are going to love this episode and will be so inspired by the work of the DRE Project and everything that Jennifer does and everything that she's accomplished. Here's my conversation with the lovely Jennifer Jackson. Jennifer, welcome to the One Girl Revolution podcast.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Kate. It's such an honor to be on here. I'm a big fan of yours and I'm excited to be a guest.
I am so excited to have you on. And I just feel like we're soul sisters. Even when you and I were messaging back and forth on Instagram, I was like, how do Jennifer and I not know each other? But I feel like we've become fast friends just through Instagram. And I'm so excited to share your story. And we got connected through our mutual friend, JoJo Dries, who was just on the podcast. And so she is such a beacon of light. And I love that the three of us also have the PR background. And so I'm like, the three of us just need to get together, and that would just be a force to be reckoned with, really.
Absolutely. Imagine what our minds could do together.
Oh my gosh. Well, we're connected now. So
Yeah.
watch out, world. We're coming for you. But
Absolutely.
I wanted to have you on this podcast to share about your story and then to talk about the great work that you're doing with the DRE Project. But before we get into all of that, I would love to rewind, because we're all about stories here. And I love the evolution of the person, right? The evolution of the woman who's on. I know that you've been through so many different chapters of life, and there's so much that we could talk about, but I would love to rewind and hear a little bit about your own story, who you are, where you're from, and just a little bit about your upbringing.
Absolutely. So I grew up actually in Canton, and I had a ton of friends and grew up. My dad was in the pizza business. So I remember like always getting to be in the stores and having fun and growing up there. And actually when I was younger, he would go to work all the time, and I'd be like, when can I go to work with you? And so just to kind of shut me up one day, he was like, when you're 10. So I was like, okay, so my birthday's in August. So it was during the summer. And I remember getting up and running downstairs, and I was so excited because I was like, let's go. And he's like, where are we going? Like, what are you talking about? And I was like, you said to work. I could always go to work when I was 10. So he took me into store two at the time. I remember my uncle owned it, and they were like, well, my uncle hid around the corner to like call and place an order. And I kind of got to go through all those things. And for me, it was, I bled sauce right from the beginning. And so I kind of grew up in the pizza industry, went away to college, went to Central, got into marketing and PR, and then came back and jumped into the pizza world right out of college and kind of continued to grow from there. So I was in marketing and PR. As we grew, I jumped into development and sales, and have been with the company probably 25 years at this point.
And the company is Hungry Howie's. And like I was mentioning to you on Instagram, that is my family's favorite pizza. I just remember the second I grew up in Brighton, and the second that Hungry Howie's came to Brighton, it became the family favorite. And now, still to this day, it's the only place that we go for pizza.
Oh,
So it's
I
delicious.
love that. It's been near and dear to my heart, because it was just my dad's business growing up, and to know that he, opened up Hungry Howie's number two. And, today there's over 530 locations in 20, states. It's just incredible to see, what he's built over time.
In a lot of ways, you've grown alongside the business too. It's probably cool for you to think about just growing up in the business and now still being a part of it in a different way, in a new way. And using this platform, I think what's so cool is, you're still working for Hungry Howie's, but you have another venture, a nonprofit organization that you founded. And so I would love to talk about that. And I know that your sister really is the inspiration behind the DRE Project. So tell me about your sister and tell me how the DRE Project came to be.
Absolutely. My sister's name was Andrea. She was 3 years younger than me and was my absolute best friend from day one. And we were pretty much soul sisters and soulmates, and just kind of grew up and became the best of friends through everything. Went to college together. I was a single mom, so she helped out so much with me. She moved away to California after college and jumped into the film industry, but we still stayed super, super close. And when we lost her unexpectedly in 2013, it really sent me to hell. That's really how I can explain it. I was a single mom. My daughter was 11. I had been, racing towards up the corporate ladder. And all of a sudden, life and this tragedy smacked me in the face, and I didn't sit well with it. So I took a spiral downward for a few years, went to a really dark place. And I actually walked into Kensington Church in October of 2018 with my daughter and our exchange student from Paris at the time. And we just wanted to give her an experience. And I remember just all of a sudden crying and just having this full like revelation about my sister not wanting me to be so sad. And so through that, I started to do some classes and some courses at the church. And I started to realize that I wanted to be able to help people the way that she did. My sister had this light. We kind of teased and said she was like a tornado, like she would come into the room and it would be like pure chaos, right? But it was, now I can look back and see that it was like this light that she just was always bringing to people. And so at that point, I started to realize that we are in a very, very dark world. And I just want to be the light for people and to be able to help them out in any way that I can. And so it's actually funny. I was in Birmingham in February of 2020, right before COVID, and Mitch Albom had released his book, Finding Chica. And that was about his daughter that died and they got from the orphanage. And I was sitting in there sobbing. And it was at that point that it made me realize that Mitch Albom is a son of God that writes for a living, and he needed to have a job, and his job was writing books, and this writing books brought him all of this money to be able to fund these orphanages in Haiti and doing all of this stuff that he was passionate about. And I realized at that point, the pizza business doesn't have to be my passion, right? That was my dad's passion. And it's an industry that I grew up in and I knew and I loved, but I could have passion somewhere else. And so I decided to take the pain that I had from losing my sister and kind of turning that into my purpose, and being able to help those that were in the darkness.
I love so many things about your story, Jennifer, and it makes me think of some of my favorite stories on this podcast and even some of my favorite stories that we've told through film and through our documentaries are, first of all, the people that still have their full-time job, right? They don't just quit everything to do start a nonprofit. Maybe they're just doing things in a little way, which I think all of us can do something to make a difference, right? We don't necessarily all have to start a nonprofit organization or some big initiative. Sometimes it's like what you saw, like, oh, maybe I could just do a little something to bring a little light to the world and continue your sister's legacy. And then secondarily, it's taking this pain, this darkness, this blight, and turning it into beauty. And I think about Mama Shu, who's here in Highland Park, and she always talks about how she's turning the blight of her neighborhood into beauty. And we all have those opportunities where we can go through something difficult, or maybe we're going through something difficult, but we can find opportunities to really be that light in this dark world. And so I love that you're doing that through the DRE Project, and you're continuing to carry on your sister's legacy, her light, through this work. So tell me about the DRE Project. Tell me about the great work that you guys are doing.
All right, so we incorporated, so just to give you real quick, the DRE project kind of started by accident. So this was, we'll back it up, as 2020. After seeing Mitch, COVID hit. It was my daughter's senior year from high school. You know, it was like completely crazy. And she was going away to Dallas for college. And I had been a single mom. And so I started to recognize I was going to have a lot of time on my hands and I needed to be proactive and repurpose my time, or I was going to be in a very dark place again. So I started, my girlfriend opened a catering business out of her home, and I don't cook whatsoever, which is even funnier that I do this with food. But I decided to purchase meals from her where I would drive. She'd leave them on the porch. I would go there, I'd pick them up for myself. And then I started having people at Kensington at the time that were losing people, because obviously we were losing a ton of people during COVID. And so I started to pick up and order extra meals from her, and then I would drop them off for their families. So I kind of was just doing this, and just kind of families were coming my way. And I realized at that time that grieving families, that specifically ones that had suffered a traumatic loss, were the ones that I was geared like to help. And so I started finding families that had significant or tragic losses, and I would serve them 2 home-cooked meals a week for up to 12 weeks delivered to their door. So I just started ordering these extra meals from my girlfriend, did all of this. Well, I then started like a little Facebook thing because I couldn't take it all on my own. It kind of spiraled. We jumped in. I incorporated January 4th of 2021, and we just kind of took off. We were serving 220 meals a week when we were at our highest in 2021. I think between 2021, when we kicked off, until we started to work with Humble Design, which was in May of 2022, we probably served over 1,800 meals in that short, just again to families that were going through that hard time. And for me, it was great because I would pray with these families when I would drop it off, and I would kind of be the light at the end of the tunnel for them, where, listen, you're going to get through this. I know what you're feeling. And so we kind of went from there. We were growing so much. We were doing so much. I realized that we couldn't keep being sustainable at the growth that we were going. And I had been wanting to connect with Humble Design because I absolutely love their mission and everything that they're about. And I thought, if their furniture, food goes right alongside of that. So I connected with them in May of 2022, and we started doing 12 houses a month with Humble Design. And so what we did is we put together these 2 small moving boxes of like 60 pounds of food that we were going in, and we were then stocking the pantry alongside the volunteers that were staging the home. And then the family would come home and they would have food. So I started to just kind of incorporate that and grow from there. We ended up, Humble Design did 151 houses last year, and we did 263. So we did all of theirs and then realized the need for others because I started to think not everybody gets a house and gets Humble Design to come in and do it, right? But they still need food. So we reached out to the Community Housing Network. Then actually the New Day Foundation, I was introduced to them and they were like, do you know what this could do for our families facing cancer? Like you realize that what they're going through. And so I'm like, absolutely. I just started partnering with all of these other nonprofits because I thought together we can really make a difference, right? I might have families that, we're serving that are transitioning from homelessness that are also facing cancer. And so the one thing that made us different was that we delivered the groceries to their homes and that we also include a home cooked meal as well. And most people, as they're transitioning from homelessness, they don't even necessarily have a car, right? So we've got so many food pantries and stuff. So this was kind of just a little different. And so today we are projected this year to do 600 families. We are on rotate now where we do 50 a month. We get referrals from other nonprofits, but we will serve anyone that comes to our website because my whole thing is we will only deliver one time. We are not an ongoing solution, and anybody has the right to be able to have food when they're facing a hardship.
Watch One Girl Revolution's Emmy-nominated short documentary, The Girl Inside, on our YouTube channel or at onegirlrevolution.com. The Girl Inside features a poignant look at the stories of incarcerated women within Cook County Jail and a life-changing academic course taught by Dr. Laura Biaggi called Storytelling as a Healing Art. This short documentary reunites Dr. Biaggi with 5 of her former students for a special one-day course on the transformative power of our stories and our voices. And what is revealed is the girl inside. Watch the Emmy-nominated short documentary The Girl Inside today on YouTube or at onegirlrevolution.com. Yeah, it's so simple. I mean, you've accomplished so much, and the DRE Project has accomplished so much. I love that you're partnering with other organizations. We've actually had Trigger from Humble Design on, and they're just incredible. For people that are listening, go back and listen to her episode because they help furnish houses and apartments or whatever to help people in need or people transitioning out of homelessness to have a furnished house, a home to come to. And it's so beautiful, the work that they're doing. But also I love the food component, what you're doing, where it's like food changes everything for all of us, right? Like if you're having a bad day and somebody presents you with a home cooked meal, or you're having a rough chapter of life, right? Where your family member is going through cancer, maybe you're going through cancer. And just if someone presents you with a home cooked meal, we all know that feeling where it's like you just feel so loved through food. Not to just promote hungry Howies, but same with pizza, right? Like you put a pizza in front of some people. Sometimes you're just having a bad day and somebody gives you a pizza and a Coca-Cola, and it's like it just changes your perspective on life. And so I love what you're doing, where it's like you're providing a home cooked meal for people, but also groceries. I know we all know from experience when you move, a lot of times it's like, where did I put the pans? And so just to be given groceries sometimes can present its own difficulties, but you're really presenting this wraparound. It's like a big hug, right? Where you're giving this food, this home cooked meal, and then partnering with other organizations that are doing equally great work. It's so important.
Yes, no, I'm just so blessed to continue to, meet founders like JoJo. Like, I reached out to her because I was like, we need to start serving domestic violence survivors. Like, how incredible is that? Like, and I've put this relationship now, with these nonprofits where it's like, okay, we are working together. So we will serve anybody that comes to our website. So now I have to have an intake call, right? So now I'm talking to every single person and offering additional assistance where maybe I come across somebody that sounds like they could really benefit from humble design coming in and being able to do their home, right? Or, maybe a lot of the families that we're serving that are transitioning from homelessness, we just partnered with the Easter Seals Morgue, which I'm super excited about, could be facing, physical and mental disability issues. So again, it's like we're all helping the same people all in different areas, but what if we had a network that we were all working together and helping those same families, because it's helping them, like, really with a hand up in society versus a hand out, and really helping people take that step to, get on their own. I look at like humble design, like it blows my mind that 50% of families that are homeless fall back into homelessness within 12 months of securing housing. And that's because they don't have anything in the house, right? They have a house, there's nothing in it. They're still trying to make ends meet. They don't have beds. Well, now being able to be granted this like almost incredible, makeover of the home, where they come in and the family comes home and it's completely furnished, and there's, the table is set like it's being presented. I mean, it's just absolutely incredible. And now less than 1% of those families fall back in. So I want to help every single one of them, right? And I just feel like our missions kind of go hand in hand. And then the more that we can pull in to create in this network is just really going to help everybody all around.
Yeah, and there's no reason to recreate the wheel. That's one thing that JoJo and I were talking about. And because she does the same thing where she partners with different organizations, or she gets a call and maybe her organization isn't doing the work that this particular person needs. And the same for you. But it's like, oh, hey, I know this other person, or let me make some calls. We all have a bigger network than we realize sometimes, especially when we're intentional about building that and utilizing social media, or even situations like this where I asked JoJo, who should I interview? And she was like, oh, you have to interview Jennifer, and da 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 da. And I'm sure you have people that I should have on this podcast too. But we need to not live in a silo. We're stronger when we're connected. Community is so important, through your own journey, through grief and through difficulties. Sometimes we just need someone to be like, hey, I'm with you, I'm walking with you. And with regards to food, or even what Humble Design is doing, just to do one thing where it's like, okay, I can't be there for you for the rest of your life, right? I can't continue to furnish your house every single time you need something done, but just giving that little boost, right? So the work that you're doing with the DRE Project, where it's like, hey, somebody's having a hard time, this is what we can do for you. These are all the things. If you need something different or you need something more, let's find solutions. That's, and helping people move forward. It's so incredible.
Absolutely. And just working together, like I really truly feel that people helping people can make a difference. As I started to get into the nonprofit, now I'm so grateful for my many years in the business world, because I look at the nonprofit world completely differently, where I'm building it out to be sustainable, right? Like I realized serving the meals, that wasn't gonna, last a long time. So we were able to pivot from that, and we've been adaptable to be able to help and, assist many more families as we continue to grow.
Another thing about your organization, and I said the same thing to JoJo, is I love having organizations on who are kind of newish. I know you've accomplished so much in a short period of time, but what's beautiful is as you're serving people, those people are sort of helping you build out the mission and helping you see, okay, what are the needs? How can we continue to walk with these people? Whereas sometimes it's great, some of these organizations that I have on the podcast who have been around for 10, 15, 20 years, they have this like, all right, this is what we do and this is what we don't do. And I just think that it's like beautiful. I can't wait to continue to watch the work that you do and how it continues to grow and evolve. And as you partner with different organizations, I know that the DRE Project is going to continue to grow and evolve in new ways. And you have already in a short period of time, but it's just really beautiful to kind of be in the chapter that you are. I know it presents its own hardships because you're like, all right, I'm still figuring things out in the nonprofit world, but I do think it's very beautiful, almost like a cocoon, right? And then you're becoming the butterfly that you were created to be. But I can't wait to see where you go from here.
Oh, absolutely. I just feel like I'm just getting started. I know that my sister is guiding me because you're absolutely right. We are just over 3 years into our charity status. So we're still a private foundation. We have to get to 60 months. At the point as I got in, I thought, okay, you know what? We're going to start applying for like grants because with food, this is so great. So I started to do the grant research. And as I got in, I realized that there are a lot of restrictions with those grants when you take them. And it kind of made me sit back and think, all I'm doing is bringing these people, food. I don't necessarily need to collect this much information from them to be able to supply it to get the money, and I just felt wrong about that. So I was like, we're going to just stay private fundraising. I don't want to be told who I can't and can't serve based on, the information they're providing. So, we've kind of stuck at it that route too, just to be like, we want to help everybody, right? And everybody, I'm not politically assigned either way either, because there's so many people that are like, oh, go this way. I'm like, no, I'm above that. I'm not red. I'm not blue. I'm purple. I'm up here with God doing God's work and just looking for people that want to help people.
Yeah, supporting people. And that's what we're all about here at One Girl Revolution is just finding ways, elevating stories, of course, but finding ways to serve people in our own communities. We all can do something, right? And I love your story of like, hey, I don't even cook, but my friend does. And this is how I sort of started to realize that I could help other people. We all can do that. We all can do something.
Right. Well, it's just kind of taking a look in the mirror and, realizing, at least for me, was I was making so much of my life about me, right? It was about me and this. Well, I had lost my sister, or I had done this. And when I all of a sudden took the me out of it and realized my purpose here is nothing to do with me, my purpose here is to help others, and how I go about doing that, it just opened up so many different doorways for me. And it just made me realize that that's where the love of God is, right? It's all throughout the connections and helping people. And we're in a crazy time anyway. So I'm going to just keep feeding the poor and praying.
It is a crazy time. And I think that in those dark moments in our world and in our lives too, when you find opportunities to give, to be of service, that's where you really start to see the light in our world. And,
So
you start to
much.
see the light coming from other people. And so I also say that a lot on this podcast is like, if you're having one of those dark chapters, or you don't feel like you know what your purpose is, or you don't feel like you have direction in your life, find an opportunity to serve other people, whether it's volunteering with an organization. They can reach out to you, they can reach out to JoJo, they can reach out to Humble Design and just say, hey, I don't even know what I'm supposed to do, but I want to help you. Your mission resonates with me. I want to do something. We all can do something. And it's in those moments when we're of service to other people that I think we see our purpose, we see our own personal purpose and our own mission better than we ever have before.
Completely. Plus, it helps me. I mean, for me, I don't get to deliver as much anymore because I have such amazing base with my volunteers. But like when I do, it just totally puts things in perspective for me, right? Because I might be thinking I'm having a bad day, and then I go out and I'm delivering to this family that's just secured housing, or this family that's, facing cancer, and they're bawling and they're just so grateful that it really makes me sit back and think like I have no issues, right? I am just grateful for everything, and that I have the ability to help these people and just kind of be the light for them in their time of darkness.
If you want to be a part of the revolution and support the work we're doing to uplift women's voices and their stories, please consider donating to our 501c3 nonprofit organization. Every dollar goes right back into the work that we're doing and will allow us to tell even more stories of inspiring women and girls to inspire and empower the next generation. Donate today at onegirlrevolution.com. That's the number onegirlrevolution.com. I know that you have only been around for a couple of years, but you've, I think, lived through so much in those couple of years with the organization. But Jennifer, is there a story or two? I know that you could tell me so many because I know that you've encountered so many people through your work, but is there a story or two that you feel like really shows the power and importance of your work, or maybe a story that just touched your heart in a special way?
Absolutely. I'm going to talk about this one mother. It was a woman that came to our website right as we were kind of starting to open the website to the public, and she had just requested food, and so I jumped in my car to go deliver it to her, and I got to the house, and she had four kids in the house, and nothing. There was absolutely nothing in the house. Like there wasn't a rug on the floor. I think she had like some sleeping bags in the bedroom. And it just kind of really hit me. And I was like, what else can I help you with? And she says, well, you know what? I would love to get some furniture. Well, lo and behold, being with nonprofits, I reached out to Building Beds for Kids, who is a nonprofit. We had beds for her kids within like 24 hours. I then posted on Facebook, like, hey, I just found this mom. People were coming out of the woodwork. We got her a couch. We got her this huge rug. My friends were there hanging pictures like on her walls. Like it was such an incredible experience that we got to have with her, just to again like give her that light, right? Like here she was, a single mom. She had these four kids. She didn't know how she was going to make things work. And just this girl that dropped off food ended up coming into her life. And I still connect with her now. Like she might reach out and say, hey, do you think you can find this for me? But that's kind of what it's all about, right? Like I can drop off food to anybody, and that's what I'm willing to do. But it's finding those people that are willing to ask for the help, that want the help, are open to it, and that I can help, that, really takes it for me a long way.
And you never know what you being able to help these people, individuals or families, how that will play out in their lives. And that's one thing that's kind of the mystery of life to me, that sometimes we might help somebody, or we might even, it might be simple. We buy somebody a coffee, or we smile at somebody, or hold the door open. And we never know what that little act of kindness, or in a big thing that we do for someone, or a little thing, we never know how that could impact their life and how they're going to help be able to help other people. Because I think even in situations like the people that you're dealing with, they might be struggling for a moment, they might be struggling for years. But when they get to the place where they are in an empowered place and they can help other people, I'm a firm believer that humans do it, that we step up and find ways to give back.
Oh, we will. And you know what? Those are the stories that I love too. I had these two sisters show up on a packing day at my house a couple months ago, and it was on a Saturday. And they were just like both, I think we were graduating from the University of Michigan, and they were just really quiet. And after we got done, they said, we just need to tell you that when we were little, like somebody came to our house and brought us food. And so we wanted to be able to give back to someone. And so they signed up to deliver. One of my other friends, one thing that we just added to our deliveries is birthday boxes, which I'm so excited over. So we put together these little birthday kits that they can have a little birthday cake, and there's balloons, and the kids make them, and they've colored pictures and cards and everything. And one of my friends that delivers for me all the time reached out, and she said, you probably don't know this, but we were very poor when I was little. And I remember people bringing stuff to our house. And that's one thing I was always so sad, that we never had anything for my birthday. And so to see you guys now incorporating that is just, it's great. And I'm like, see again, but that's like full circle. That's where we know that we're doing God's work. We're going in the right way. And it's just kind of him showing us like, yep, you're on track. That's where you're supposed to be.
My gosh, Jennifer, I'm getting choked up. Hear you telling that story about the birthdays. Like it's so beautiful. And my mom, she passed away a year and a half ago from cancer, actually. So it's like what you're saying about helping people with who are going through cancer journeys resonates with me. But my mom always loved this book, and it was called On the Day You Were Born. And it talks about like you go through, it's this
I
beautiful
remember
children's
that
book.
book.
Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. Now I buy it for literally every person that I know that has a baby. But how the world celebrated the day that you were born. And it is so sad when you look at the world and there are so many people that don't have that. They don't have someone wishing them a happy birthday or sending them a birthday card, or there's this little girl. Now she's 16, but when I had her on the podcast, she was 11 and she started an organization called Three Wishes for Ruby's Residents. And
Oh,
her
yeah.
name's Ruby, and she like
Yeah.
grants wishes to the elderly. And so I think about forgotten about populations and people that maybe there's, it's their birthday and no one remembers. And so those little things we can all do to celebrate the day that someone was born and show them their value and show them their purpose and just love on them a little bit. So I love that you've added that to the Dre Project's work.
I love it. And then we're also using kids to assemble them. So it's great to be able to tell these kids, like we had a second grade class do it, where it was like, have you guys had a birthday party? And they were like, I've had four, I've had six, well, these kids maybe never had one. And it's like, what? And they're just so like taken back by that, that just the pictures and the cards in itself that they leave or that they do is just incredible. So it touches
Mm,
me on all levels.
yeah, it's so beautiful. Well, Jennifer, where do you hope that the Dre Project goes from here? I know that you've grown and evolved in so many different ways. I know you're adding this birthday box project, but where do you hope that the Dre Project goes from here in your dream of dream worlds?
Oh, I know. So, so Dre, one thing I didn't mention either is our core values are dream big, be resilient, and have empathy. So I love to dream big. We are looking and praying for a warehouse right now alongside Humble Design. We would love to be able to get a food and furniture building together where we could then just start to incorporate and hit, so many more people. They're currently in Pontiac. I'd love to get them more into the city. So, we can just execute a lot more. So I'm praying that that's going to happen. And then Humble Design has chapters all over the country. So we're going to replicate this. That's
Yeah.
at least how I'm thinking.
Oh, yeah. Well, and that's the beautiful thing about how, as different nonprofit organizations grow, it's beautiful to see the alignment there where you're like, all right, let's not recreate the wheel. Let's partner together. Let's find a space together. And so I'm going to be hoping and praying for that as well. And I can't wait to see when that starts happening across this country because it's so needed, the work that you're doing. Jennifer, if you could get to the very root of why you do what you do every single day, and you can talk about Hungry Howies if you want, but I'm thinking about the Dre Project and the work that you're doing. You're dealing with some really difficult, heartbreaking stories, but also some beautiful, joyful moments too. But if you could get to the very root of why you do what you do, the driving force behind the work that you do every day, what would you say that root is?
Love. My superpower is love. I am a hopeless romantic. I always want love to win. And I feel that I try to love everyone the same way that Jesus did. And so if we just continue to love, and by loving like Jesus, that means helping the poor because the poor are always going to be with us, even though he's not, as well as just helping everyone around us, then it's again going to make the world a better place. And it's just people helping people. So I'm a definitely big love girl.
So with your work with the Dre Project, there are so many different ways that people can get involved in the Dre Project. There's so many ways that they can support you. I always say on this podcast, the free and easy way that people can get involved in anything is just to sign up for your email list, follow you on social media. But what can people do to support the great work of the Dre Project, and what can they do to get involved?
Absolutely. We've got tons of different avenues. If you go to our website, which is just www.thedreproject.org, we have current volunteer list opportunities that you can sign up all the way through the end of the year. We are asking for people to donate their time, either by delivering to some of the families to us. We do stocking and inventory days. I actually partnered with the Therapeutic Rehab of Michigan, and so they send their brain injury patients every Monday to my my house to do inventory and stocking, and they sometimes do the deliveries. And then we have packing days in my garage every other Saturday. We get about 10 people and we just have fun and we put together packages for 25 families, and always looking for people to donate their time. We can put together packing days for service days for companies. I've been doing that lately where we'll just maybe have 10 people from a company come in and we can get them set up and do some hours. All of them are single hour time slots. So that's super short and simple for everybody. And then we're always looking for donations as well, which you can find us on PayPal. You can find us on Venmo, or even just going directly to the DREProject.org. And all of our proceeds go towards feeding our families.
I will be sure to put all of those links in the show notes so people can easily connect with you. They can easily find ways to volunteer, to donate. We're always encouraging people who listen to this podcast to just get involved. And it doesn't have to be the big thing. A lot of times it's the small thing that can make the biggest impact. So I
Absolutely.
encourage everybody to get involved.
Yeah, coming to do a packing day, people don't realize it's 1 hour. It's so short, it's so sweet, and it's quick, and it gets done. It's so much work. We're packing for 25 families, so it's short and sweet.
Jennifer, you are a one girl revolution. That's why I wanted to have you on the podcast. And I can't wait to stay in touch with you and continue to follow the great work that you're doing. But who is a one girl revolution in your life? Who is a woman or girl that inspires you?
Oh, there's probably so many. I'm gonna say going to in regards to my love statement, one thing that is really big to me is words and lyrics. And so I have to say that Pink and Taylor Swift are my one revolution girls. I just feel like their words of really being able to let women explain on who we are and all the different things about us, and not be afraid of showing people who you are and just being yourself, is very, very instrumental for the young girls around us.
Music is such a powerful force. And I have a couple of different playlists, like on my rough days that I need to be reminded that I'm a one girl revolution. I'll like turn it up, and Pink and Taylor Swift are two
I
of the
love
people
it.
on there, but especially Pink. I'm like, I just love how edgy she is, how
I do
real she is
too.
too.
She's so real.
Yeah, she's so real and so awesome. So that's great that you said that.
Yeah.
Jennifer, before I let you go, I always end this podcast on one question. So I'd like to ask you, if you could leave women and girls around the world with one message, what would it be?
Dream big, be resilient, and have empathy.
Beautiful. Jennifer, thank you so much for being on the One Girl Revolution podcast. And thank you for all the incredible work that you do.
Thank you, Kate. It's been a pleasure. And thank you for all the incredible work you do. And I can't wait to watch what you're going to do next.
Oh, thank you so much.
Please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at One Girl Revo. That's the number one girl REVO. And you can find more information on One Girl Revolution at onegirlrevolution.com. That's the number one girlrevolution.com.